Racing is not all about winners. Despite their misfortune, losers often create something to remember that is definitely worth a note. Formula 1 knows its heroes, but did you know that once in the late 1980s, Subaru gave it a try too? As one may have already passed out, it was a terrible engine from the beginning, and they learned it the hard way without a single victory. Yet, the story would not end there, and it nearly changed the direction of the Swedish hypercar company from the early days. The rising popularity of Formula 1 in the 1980s led several new automotive companies to seek involvement and greater recognition. Seeing the attempts by Honda and Yamaha, it was Subaru that also set its sights on venturing into this top-tier motorsport category. Unfortunately for them, they lacked knowledge about such engines. Luckily for the Japanese, a new F1 engine supplier was eager to provide assistance. This marked the collaboration between Moderni and Subaru on a short-lived yet incredibly special F1 journey. Moderni, founded in 1985 by Carlo Chitti, was a Formula 1 engine manufacturer with extensive engineering experience from Alfa Romeo's motorsport department. Chitti designed a turbocharged V6 that Minardi adopted in the 80s. Regrettably, it was significantly underpowered, and after 3 unsuccessful seasons with no points scored, Minardi returned to the Cosworth engine. The 1988 season was the last Turbo F1 year, and the company didn't hesitate to take a step back and let the season pass. Then, in late 1988, the Japanese unexpectedly expressed their desire to enter Formula 1 and assigned Chitti's engine studio to create a Subaru-branded power plant. Interestingly, it was a flat engine, typical of Subaru's road engines, not by request, but because Chitti believed its lower center of gravity offered a significant advantage. The engine was named the Subaru 1235, hinting at a 12-cylinder design, with a 3.5-liter engine displacement. As a flat 12, we don't know for sure whether it is a true boxer or a 180-degree V like the Porsche 917, using shared road journals to simplify the construction, as there are no pictures of the bare naked engine inside. What we do know is that it followed the standard of an all-aluminum engine with twin camshafts per head, accommodating 48 valves, although a 60-valve setup was also tested. Both connecting rods and valves were crafted from titanium, and the ignition system was supplied by Magneti Marelli. The initial test occurred in May 1989 in a Minardi test car at Misano, with dyno tests showing an output of 567 horsepower. Even an updated version of the outdated Cosworth DFV, the DFR, surpassed 620 horsepower, not to mention the Ferrari V12 or Honda V10, both of which generated close to 700 horsepower. In terms of power, it was severely underpowered. Regarding the low center of gravity, however, other brands had abandoned the flat engine concept years ago for obvious reasons. The first aerodynamic modifications were implemented in the late 1960s, with ground effect being one of them. With the flat engine, engineering a proper bottom aero was practically impossible, unthinkable in the late 1980s, when it was already a must-have to win. With a lack of power and spoiled aero, the weight was another crucial factor killing Subaru's potential. While the bare engine was not significantly heavier compared to a competitor's unit, when equipped with all the necessary accessories, the difference exceeded 100 kilograms, and that was unacceptable. Moreover, it had a tendency to blow up. These combined factors were unforgiving. The Subaru Coloni racing team, with Bertrand Gachot behind the wheel, who later drove the winning 4-rotor Le Mans car, not only failed to participate in a single race, but also did not qualify for any events due to the inability to pre-qualify in 8 consecutive races. It is safe to assume that the Subaru 1235 was exceptionally flawed engine. The engine made its debut in the 1990 season as a Group C entrant for Alba in the AR20 car, but unfortunately it proved unsuccessful in this endeavor as well. Road application efforts began as early as 1989 when the Japanese company Dome introduced the Giotto Caspita, utilizing the Subaru 1235. However, without F1 success, they found themselves without an engine supplier. An intriguing twist to the story is Christian von Koenigsegg's acquisition of the rights to this engine. When Audi withdrew from the offer to provide a V8 engine for Koenigsegg, knowing that the Swedish would tune them beyond standard output, Christian, through a connection with Hello Kitty, learned about the engine. In a nutshell, Kitty was then commissioned to create a road-legal version for Koenigsegg's first prototype, the CC. They increased the displacement to 3.8 liters with a stroker kit, reduced the rev range to 9,000, and coupled with the new camshafts and extended intake stacks, the engine generated slightly more power than its F1 counterpart. 580 horsepower at 9,000 RPM. The 12-cylinder engine wasn't successful in Formula 1, but Moderni had great success building other engines for Alfa Romeo to use in DTM racing. They had proven their worth, so they were worth talking to. We went and met with them, and they were very open. They said they could modify their 3.5-liter flat valve engine for us. Similar engines had been used in offshore boat racing with twin turbos on them, so we were confident enough in their durability. They put together a 3.8-liter flat valve, and they lowered the RPM from 12 to 9,000. They put different cams on it, they stroked it, put in longer intake tracks. It was set up to get 580 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, and I have the dyno test from where we ran that engine. When they first designed the Koenigsegg monocoque, it was designed for that engine, and it was the first engine we put in there. The engine mount positions for that engine are still used in the Agera today. Unfortunately for Koenigsegg, Kitty passed away, and the company subsequently filed for bankruptcy, leaving the Swedes with only 2 delivered engines. In an effort to secure the engine's future, Koenigsegg attempted to purchase Motori Moderni, aiming to obtain blueprints and tooling for an in-house production. However, upon acquisition, they discovered that none of the information was computerized, and some tooling was made of an old, already beaten-up wood. Eventually, Koenigsegg opted for Ford's modular V8 and supercharged it, an important decision in their history, looking from today's perspective. It is remarkable how the Subaru-powered Koenigsegg came close to becoming a production reality. One can only speculate about Koenigsegg's trajectory with the F1-derived flat engine, limited in tuning options, capable of producing approximately 750 horsepower with twin turbos. Despite the cool factor, abandoning the idea appears to have been a wise move. Finally, a picture of the Subaru 1235 was advertised on the Facebook Marketplace 3 years ago, though the selling price remains unknown.